Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to beautiful Chiang Mai. I am not my normal happy-go-lucky Fred today. I'm at Chiang Mai University, Faculty of Dentistry, and it's been a long week. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what I have going on with me medically, what solution, hopefully, that I finally came up with, and at the end, how much all of this cost me. So let me start from the beginning. About 5 days ago or so, I started having what felt like tooth pain. And like most men, I ignored it. You know, it'll go away. But every day it seems to have gotten worse. And so by Friday, I finally went to the dentist. And the first dentist I went to, she did what most dentists would do. I showed her where I thought the pain was coming from. There's an ambulance coming right now. It's a busy street out here. This is where I'm at. I'm in a motorbike parking. All right, so back to the story. So I went to the first dentist, and of course they do where they knock on the tooth to see which one is sensitive, and I felt nothing, you know. And so I went and had an x-ray done, and there was no cavity that she found. But what was happening to me was I would feel this pain shoot down my face and right along the jawline there, and it felt like, you know, a very bad toothache, and it will come out of nowhere. So with that said, I followed up to another dentist, and he did the same thing where he tested the tooth that I thought was the problem, and he also did x-rays. He found nothing. But then he asked some questions that sounded very familiar. And one of those questions was, does it shoot down your face? Does it feel like lightning? Well, luckily I've never been struck by lightning, but I understand what he was trying to say. He said, does it feel like you're being electrocuted, like lightning going down your face? I said, yeah, it does feel that way. And then he asked, he says, does it happen out of nowhere? You can't feel it come on? I'm like, yeah, that's it. And that's what I mean. It just happens, you know, out of nowhere. There's no rhyme or reason. And so he thought, his prognosis was that it's not the tooth, that it's more of a neurological problem. Well, the nerves that run from the brain stem down the face cause problems. And right now I'm having a really bad moment right now with it. But what he said was, he gave me a referral to the Faculty of Dentistry, and that's where I'm at now. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna try to figure out what's going on here, and I will update you from there. See you in a little bit. All right, welcome back. I made it home from the dentist's office, and let me tell you about my adventure trying to navigate Chiang Mai University Faculty of Dentistry. But first, let me show you where I'm filming from. I am in my front yard. But yeah, it is a huge front yard. And have a lot of vegetation. That is my wife's project right there. She's working on planting some stuff, and she's going to get some soil. But give you a look from down the stairs. But yeah. All right, so I arrived at Chiang Mai University Faculty of Dentistry at about 10:20, and the buildings are spread out, and so there's different buildings 1 through 8, I believe. But I started out going to the x-ray building. They said, nope, you're in the wrong building, you need to go back to the registration. So I went to the hospital registration, and I filled out, I was first timer there, so I filled out all the paperwork that you fill out. And then she sent me, I explained to her, I gave her the paper from the dentist that said he thinks it may be a nerve issue. And they sent me over to x-ray. I tell you, I was really impressed. So when I got there, I waited maybe 10 minutes and I went back to x-ray, and it's one of those machines. I know if you're familiar with the dentist and you go there a lot, you've probably seen these machines that you stand up and it goes around your head. Boom. Okay. So I did that, and let me back up. So prior to that, I did see the dentist first. Okay. She looked at my mouth. She asked me questions about the pain. She took and kind of jabbed a little bit. It was a little painful, but she said it was going to be painful. She needs to get underneath into the pockets and see what it is. That's when she said that she thinks that there's maybe an infection underneath the crown in the back of my mouth. And she said sometimes x-rays don't pick it up. So that's when I went and she ordered an x-ray. I did the x-ray that goes around your head and takes a picture of the whole mouth. She also explained that it may not be what that dentist thought it was. She said it may be a sinus infection, but I told her I'm not having any symptoms. And she said, well, sometimes you don't have symptoms. But she showed me up in the sinus cavity, there was some buildup in there. She said it may be pressure that's causing it, or it could be something. You have swollen gums back there and some plaque buildup, and that could be putting pressure on the nerve. That's another thing. So what she wanted to do was she wanted me to go see another dentist in the building over at 1:30. So at that point, I went to lunch. I had a great lunch, and I got back at 1:30. The dentist did the same thing, took another another x-ray of my mouth where she was going to clean, and she told me there's going to be some deep scaling going on there, around there. That is when I explained to her how only thing I fear more than spiders are dentists. And so she laughed, and she said that she saw the notes from the other dentist that I've had a bad experience with dentists in the past, and that she would take precautions. So I get in the chair, and she numbs the area that she's going to work, and she also numbed the top of my mouth. And we waited about 5 minutes or so, and she goes, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "I don't know, am I ready?" And so she laid me back in the chair, and I hate the sound of that drill going on, like whatever it is that cleans underneath. But she was probing deep, and then she would go in there with the thing and she would clean the teeth and dig some more. That is the first time I ever fell asleep in a dentist chair. I dozed off actually and woke back up, but that is the first time. I've never felt pain. I've never had to hold up my left hand and say, "Ouch, that hurts. Can you put some more Novocaine in there?" It was perfect. It was a great experience, and I told her so, and I will give them a good review when it comes to that. With that said, she explained to me that she wants me to come back in a week to see if the pain is gone. Right now, I'm not feeling the pain as much, but it could be the Novocaine still wearing off. I'm not sure, but we'll see. No pain on the drive home. So let's talk about cost. The first dentist I went to that I told you on Friday, she took me and she did an examination, like I mentioned before, tapped on the teeth, that kind of stuff. She did an x-ray of the area, and she couldn't find anything. That first dentist cost me 150 baht. Okay, that's everything. The second dentist that I went to examined my mouth, like I mentioned earlier, did the tap to see if anything was sensitive. It wasn't at the time. That's when he referred me to Chiang Mai University, and that was 150. So I got a first and second opinion from a dentist for a total of 300 baht. Now, after registration, after I had my first evaluation with the first dentist, I had the x-ray in modern machinery, but that bill came to 300 baht. So I go to lunch, I come back, That second dentist does her thing, and she is fabulous. I thought, I was worried it's going to be some student dentists that I was going to be their first guinea pig, but it wasn't. But the evaluation, the cleaning, that was over half an hour, it felt like. I was in that chair for a little bit. But when I went back to the payment center, that cleaning, that x-ray, that was another 300 baht. Okay, so now we're looking at 900 baht. Now, she also gave me a bottle of mouthwash to rinse, to use once a day, and also a packet of pain pills to take after that. Those two items came to 54 baht. 54 baht. So, in the end, 3 dentists, 3 examinations, 4 sets of x-rays, and we're at 954 baht, less than $30 to get that done. Now, on Thursday, I'm going to see a periodontist, and I looked up some of the prices can be. If you don't have insurance, that can be expensive. I've seen prices as high as $300. Now, I had an option to use the school's periodontist, but that would take a long time because there's a long waiting list. Or in another building, they have specialized dentistry, and I can use a private periodontist there. And she said it'd be maybe a little more than double what that periodontist at the school would be. I said, well, what does double mean? And she said, about 2,000 or 2,500 baht. So we're talking $60 or $70 to get the full deep cleaning by a periodontist. I think that's amazing. And that brings me to what I want to talk about next, and that's suffering. There's a quote that says that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And I remember reading that years ago, and I remember I keep that in mind with me, because pain is inevitable. And I remember my first hip replacement on my right side, I was suffering. I was mad at God. I was mad at the world. I was mad at everything because it altered my lifestyle, and I was angry, and I lived in that anger, and I lived in that suffering until I didn't. But by the time I had my second hip replacement, my left hip, then I went to gratitude. And I know a lot of my former coworkers think this gratitude thing is, some mumbo jumbo or whatever the case may be. But let me tell you something. Since 2016, I've had a gratitude journal that I write in every day. Even if it's my bad day, what I consider a bad day. I really don't have bad days. I have bad moments, but I let those moments go. And I think it serves me because now I don't suffer anymore. I still go through pain. And let me tell you, when they talk about suffering as optional, it depends on what you focus on, and I've learned that. But living here, if I'm going to be in pain somewhere, I want it to be Chiang Mai. And the reason why is things are going to happen as I get older. There may be some health concerns, but I know I can afford it here in Chiang Mai. I just listened to one of my coworkers on Facebook, and they posted that their insurance just doubled there in the United States. My insurance, and if you watch my insurance video, you probably noticed already, but we pay about $205 a month for my wife and I, and that covers all inpatient, okay? So anything that may put me in the hospital, be it a motorbike accident, be it cancer, whatever the case may be, that's going to be covered. But anything out of pocket, we have to cover. And what we did when we left the United States is we set up a healthcare fund. I was very fortunate to work for an agency where once you retire, you get a percentage of your vacation time that you still have, as well as your sick time. And I took that lump sum and I put it away, and I add to that every month. And that is the healthcare fund, not just for anything we have to pay out of pocket as we move forward, but also maybe one day, we may need money for to have someone live with us, to take care of us, a live-in aid, or we may end up in a retirement home, where we can afford it because we've planned for it. And so if you're coming over here, I urge you to really look into healthcare. If you're coming over here after 70, it's going to be really hard to find healthcare coverage. I'm not saying it's impossible. And my healthcare, as I understand it, is as long as I keep up with my premiums and I pay them every year, I will stick with them after 70 if I don't have a break in my coverage. And that's pretty much what I plan to do. So this is a place where I don't suffer. They say the number one reason for bankruptcy in America is medical bills. And I remember reading this story of this lady. She worked for a large retail organization. I won't mention her name, but as my understanding is, she got sick, but she couldn't afford to go to the doctor because she hadn't made it past her 90-day probation period. She didn't have benefits yet. And so she stayed home where she was losing money while she stayed home. And finally someone went to check on her and she had died of pneumonia. And many people are afraid to go to the hospital when they get sick because of the bills they're going to have. I just don't understand it. But anyway, new place, new attitude. I had a great experience, and I'm not sure if this is fixed yet, but I will keep you posted. I go back next Monday. If the pain is not gone, then they'll look and see if it is a neurological issue. But I'm hoping that on my way home I felt no pain. I'm hoping that's a sign that it wasn't that the Novocaine hadn't wore out yet. I'm thinking that I got some pressure release off of that nerve there. So please keep me in your thoughts. As always, folks, thank you. If you got any kind of value from this right here, if you have any questions I can answer for you, please let me know. But if you got any value, please hit that like and subscribe button. It's not going to cost you anything, but it helps me spread the word. Once again, I love you, my friends and family, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.